There's been a lot of talk recently about what the Lakers still need to truly be contenders. And one thing that keeps coming back to the table is that reliable sixth man. That microwave scorer. The guy who can come off the bench and just get you buckets without needing to be spoon-fed by Luka, LeBron, or Austin Reeves. Because let's be real, as talented as the Lakers' starting unit might be, when you look at the bench, there's a noticeable drop-off in offensive firepower. And it's not about just finding another shooter. It's about bringing in someone who can create his own shot, who thrives when the lights are a little dimmer, and who can still flip the switch and drop 15, 20, even 25 on a random night. Think Lou Williams. Think Jamal Crawford. Think that kind of vibe. Now, two names that have been floated around, and for good reason, are Malik Monk and Cam Thomas. Both guys are cut from that same cloth. They don't need a system. They're the system when they're on the floor. Give them the ball, clear out, and let them work. And the thing is, they're actually gettable. Especially Malik Monk. The Kings, from all reports, are basically dangling him out there like, please, somebody take this guy. Not because he's bad. Far from it. He's coming off one of his most productive seasons. But Sacramento is looking to clear a roster spot and salary space to potentially bring in Russell Westbrook. So they're trying to get off Monk, not because they want to, but because they feel like they have to. That opens a door for the Lakers. And you can't ignore that. If there's an opportunity to grab a guy like Monk, who's already proven he can produce in LA, already has chemistry with this core, already knows what it means to play under this pressure, then you seriously have to consider it. Now, the challenge becomes how you get him. Because the Kings don't want to take back any real salary or long-term commitments. They're looking to open space, which means any deal for Monk is likely going to involve a third team. And that's where you get creative. That's where front offices earn their money. Can you flip someone like Gabe Vincent or Maxi Kleber into a third team that's willing to eat the contract in exchange for some young talent? Maybe a team like Brooklyn, who's clearly in a transitional phase, would take a swing on a couple of young guys like Dalton Connect or Jalen Hood-Schifino in return. But zooming out for a second, even if a trade like that doesn't materialize, the Lakers still need to address that second unit scoring. Because right now, most of their bench players are defense-first guys. And while that's not inherently bad, defense is obviously crucial. It becomes a problem when your offense becomes too top-heavy. Right now, the bulk of the scoring responsibility falls on Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. Rui Hachimura can get you buckets. We've seen him do it, but he's quietly been slotted into more of a floor-spacing role. Catch and shoot. Corner threes. Some post touches, sure, but the Lakers haven't really been using him as that focal point off the bench like they probably could. And that's actually another interesting wrinkle here. The Rui conversation. Because for all the talk about who the starting five should be, one of the best ways to balance this roster might actually be moving Rui to the bench, not as a demotion, but as a feature piece. Let him be the offensive engine of the second unit. Let him get touches. Let him operate from the mid-post, from the elbows, from the block. He's got one of the most automatic mid-range games in the league. Why not lean into that? Why not run plays for him? Because if you're not going to use his skill set to its full potential with the starters, where he's often the fourth or fifth option, then shift him to a role where he's the first option. You look back at some of the best benches in recent years, and they all had that guy. That spark plug who could swing a game in 5 minutes. The Lakers haven't had that in a while. It's been a lot of plug-and-play defenders, a lot of glue guys, solid role players, but no one who can come in and just put pressure on defense. That's what they're missing. Jake LaRavia might develop into that guy. There's some intrigue there for sure. He's shown flashes of shot creation, and he's got some polish. But relying on a young, unproven player to be your main bench scorer is risky. Same goes for Dalton Connect. He has the tools, and he's shown flashes, but consistency is key. And the Summer League didn't exactly scream day one contributor. So if Rui doesn't move to the bench and you don't add an external scorer, where does the offense come from when the starters sit? That's the question. And right now, it doesn't have a clear answer. There's hope that someone like Vondo or LaRavia can grow into that role, but hope isn't a strategy. You need to be proactive. That's why a guy like Cam Thomas is so intriguing. Say what you want about his defense or his tunnel vision. The man is a walking bucket. 20 points in his sleep, and he's still super young. There's a world where you bring him in, let him cook in that bench role, and he just flourishes. Think of the pressure that takes off the starters. Think of how much smoother your rotations become when you've got a guy who can carry the offense for 5, 6-minute stretches. Of course, it's not just about scoring in isolation. Whoever they bring in needs to be able to fit. Because when you stagger rotations, you're going to have guys like Luka and LeBron sharing the floor with that 6-man. That means he's got to be comfortable playing off the ball. He's got to be a threat without dominating the possession. That's what makes Malik Monk such an ideal fit. He's already played next to high-usage guys and found ways to be effective. He can shoot it. He can cut. He can run in transition. And when you do hand him the keys to the offense, he can run a second-unit offense competently. That balance is key, because you don't want another Jordan Clarkson type who needs 15 shots to score 12 points and can't function without the ball. You want efficiency. You want versatility. You want someone who doesn't need the ball to be effective, but can still go get his when a moment calls for it. And this isn't just about regular season wins. This is about postseason flexibility. Depth matters. We've seen it year after year. When the playoffs come, rotations tighten, defense is key in on your stars, and those role players suddenly become make-or-break guys. If you've only got 4 or 5 players who can create offense, you're in trouble, especially if one of them is off, or dealing with foul trouble, or injured. So building out that bench with another scorer is less about luxury and more about insurance. Now, let's be clear, the Lakers' top priority probably still needs to be upgrading that starting small forward spot. That's where the biggest hole is. Whether it's Marcus Smart, Jared Vanderbilt, or someone else, they need to find that 5th guy who brings balance to both ends. But once that's handled, or even while those discussions are ongoing, getting a legitimate bench scorer has to be right behind that on the checklist. Because again, you don't want to head into the season banking on rookies or second-year players to give you consistent offense. If they pop, great, bonus. But that can't be the plan. Now, maybe Jake LaRavia really does take a leap. Maybe Rue becomes that reliable scorer off the bench. Maybe Austin Reeves starts hitting another gear as a two-way force and carries the second unit when Luka or LeBron sits. Those are all maybes. But if you have a chance to turn one of those maybes into a sure thing, especially with a guy like Monk, who's not only gettable, but has a history of thriving in this system, then you do it. You take that swing. Because the margin for error in the West is razor thin. And one bad week, one shorthanded stretch, one cold shooting slump can be the difference between home court advantage and a play-in tournament. So the message is pretty simple. The Lakers need a bucket getter off the bench. Whether it's Monk, Thomas, or someone else, that role needs to be filled by someone who can produce, who can fit, and who can help balance out this roster. And if that player can also shoot the 3 and defend a little, even better. Because in today's league, you can't afford to have one-dimensional role players who become targets on defense or disappear when the ball's not in their hands. You need basketball players, complete players. And if the Lakers can find one of those, especially on a deal that doesn't cost them major assets, it could be one of those sneaky good moves that ends up making all the difference come April and May. And the thing is, when we talk about this idea of adding a bucket getter, it's not just a hypothetical luxury. It's addressing a pattern. If you go back over the last few Lakers seasons, the second unit has rarely been consistent offensively. Yes, there were flashes, some strong moments in the bubble year or that run in the 2023 playoffs, but more often than not, when the stars sat, the offense sputtered. And what happened? LeBron ended up playing more minutes. Anthony Davis carried heavier loads. Austin Reeves got overextended. And that eventually shows up, not just in fatigue, but in injuries, late-game efficiency, and team chemistry. So much of that is tied to not having that guy off the bench who can just keep things steady while the top dogs catch a breather. Now imagine a scenario where the Lakers do land someone like Malik Monk again. That changes your whole rotation. Instead of staggering Luka or Reeves to keep shot creation on the floor at all times, you can actually afford to give them real rest. Instead of playing LeBron 12 straight minutes in the first quarter just to maintain a lead, you can feel confident that the second unit can survive and maybe even build momentum without him. That's a huge shift because it gives you flexibility. It gives you confidence. And more importantly, It gives you options in the postseason when every possession matters, and your rotations shrink and your margin for error disappears. And here's something else. Malik Monk isn't just some scorer with tunnel vision. He's a dynamic, explosive guard who's also learned how to play within a team system. His time in Sacramento, next to De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, helped polish his feel for the game. He learned how to cut, how to make quick decisions, how to space the floor properly, and when to attack. That's exactly the kind of growth you want to see from a sixth man. Because there's a difference between getting buckets and being useful. You want someone who can score, sure, but you also want someone who won't tank your team's flow when he's on the floor. And Monk has shown he can thread that needle. He's no longer just a flashy highlight reel guy from Charlotte. He's matured. Same with Cam Thomas, though he's a different kind of player. Thomas is still young and raw in some ways, but he has that special something, that scoring gene that you just can't teach. When he gets hot, he's unguardable. And if you're the Lakers, that upside is appealing. The ability to roll out a second unit that doesn't just hang on until the starters come back, but can actually steal back momentum, that's a weapon. That's a separator in the playoffs. Because there will be games where your starters don't have it. Where LeBron's legs are heavy, where Luka's jumper isn't falling, where the spacing is off. And that's when guys like Cam Thomas become invaluable. You throw him in there and say, get us something, change the tempo. And more often than not, he does. But again, the fit matters. Because Cam Thomas, as talented as he is, still has to show he can blend in with stars. That he can function as a secondary or tertiary option when he's not the focal point. That's the difference between being a great scorer and being a winning player. The Lakers don't need a one-dimensional heat check guy who can't defend and needs 20 shots to find his rhythm. They need someone who can adapt. Someone who understands when it's their time and when it's not. That's what makes Monk the more logical fit, at least right now. He's already played next to LeBron. He's already earned trust from that locker room. He knows what it means to play meaningful basketball in LA. And that counts. Now let's talk about the trickle-down effect. Because adding a scorer off the bench doesn't just help the second unit. It reshapes your entire roster structure. Suddenly, your rotations make more sense. You don't have to force Gabe Vincent into a scoring role he's not suited for. You don't have to expect rookies to carry that burden in year one. You can bring players along slowly in roles they're actually comfortable in. Guys like Dalton Connect or Jalen Hood-Schifino can focus on defending, making simple reads, knocking down open shots. They don't have to be game changers right away. And that kind of developmental environment is healthier, more sustainable. You want your young guys to earn their minutes, not get thrown into the fire because you didn't fill out the roster properly. And let's be honest, having that offensive safety net gives your coaching staff more room to experiment. You can try different lineups. You can stagger stars differently. You can build second units around different skill sets. You can survive nights when guys are in foul trouble. That's what depth really does. It's not just about having more players. It's about having more options. And the Lakers haven't had that in a while. Their depth has always felt top-heavy or redundant. Too many wings who do the same thing. Too many defensive specialists who can't shoot. Too many bigs who clog the paint. Bringing in a dynamic guard like Monk or Thomas gives you a different flavor. A counterpunch. A lineup wrinkle that teams have to account for. And if the Lakers want to be more than just a fun team with potential, if they want to hang another banner, then these are the moves that matter. Not the splashy ones. Not the headlines. But the gritty, thoughtful, precise roster additions that give you a complete team. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, rumors have begun to swirl across Los Angeles in a frenzy of excitement and disbelief, with the latest buzz centering on Kawhi Leonard, the star forward currently with the Clippers, allegedly accepting a proposal from their long-standing city rivals, the Lakers. According to sources that have chosen to remain anonymous, Leonard has reportedly agreed to terms with the Lakers, sparking an immediate firestorm of speculation regarding the implications for both franchises. The city, already split in its loyalties between the two teams, has erupted into conversations on social media, in sports bars, and across television panels, with fans dissecting every possible outcome. Analysts are now debating the potential shifts in the Western Conference standings if Leonard would join forces with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, imagining a super team that could potentially dominate the NBA for years to come. Within the Clippers organization, the news has allegedly caused tension behind closed doors, as executives and players are said to be grappling with the reality of losing one of their franchise cornerstones to a direct rival. Meanwhile, Lakers management has remained conspicuously silent, neither confirming nor denying the chatter, which has only added fuel to the ever-growing fire of speculation surrounding the supposed deal. The financial and strategic ramifications of such a move have quickly become the subject of intense scrutiny, with experts poring over cap space figures, trade clauses, and potential roster adjustments that would accompany Kawhi Leonard's transition from one Los Angeles team to another. While contract details have not been officially disclosed, insiders suggest that Leonard's decision was influenced by a combination of factors, including championship aspirations, city dynamics, and personal preferences for organizational culture and coaching philosophies. Fans on both sides are reportedly engaged in heated debates about loyalty, betrayal, and the shifting landscape of professional basketball in the city, with social media trending hashtags that reflect both excitement and outrage. Meanwhile, local media outlets are preparing special coverage segments to analyze every angle of the potential Lakers acquisition, from offensive schemes to defensive rotations, imagining how the team might restructure itself around Leonard's unique skill set. Commentators have speculated on the impact on ticket sales, merchandise, and overall fan engagement, predicting a surge in Lakers' season ticket demand if the rumor is substantiated, while Clippers fans might feel the sting of betrayal and frustration at losing a marquee player to their city rivals. The situation has reportedly sparked internal discussions among team officials on both sides, with strategies being considered to either capitalize on the hype or mitigate potential fallout. Beyond the immediate excitement, this rumored move has prompted widespread discussion about Kawhi Leonard's career trajectory, raising questions about his legacy, motivations, and long-term ambitions within the league. Sources indicate that Leonard has meticulously evaluated his past seasons with the Clippers, weighing team chemistry, coaching philosophies, and his own health considerations, ultimately concluding that a shift to the Lakers might better align with his personal goals. Conversations about his impact on playoff outcomes and championship prospects dominate the airwaves, with analysts and former players dissecting his statistical performance and hypothetical contributions to the Lakers roster. Additionally, the ripple effects on other players' decisions, including potential trades, free agent signings, and contract extensions, are now subjects of intense speculation, as teams across the league attempt to anticipate the domino effect of Leonard's rumored agreement. The Clippers, in particular, are reportedly exploring various contingency plans, including the potential elevation of young talent and pursuit of complementary veterans, in an effort to maintain competitive relevance in the wake of losing a star player. This development, if confirmed, could mark a pivotal chapter in NBA history, illustrating the fluidity of player movement and the power of high-profile rumors to captivate fan attention, dominate headlines, and shift the strategic calculus of franchises across the league. Amid the speculation, the cultural and emotional dimensions of Leonard's potential transition cannot be ignored, as fans and media alike grapple with the psychological impact of such a move on team identity and city pride. Los Angeles, a city already steeped in sporting rivalries and divided loyalties, could find its social landscape transformed, with conversations at local cafes, offices, and community gatherings revolving around the hypothetical consequences of Leonard donning purple and gold instead of red and blue. Sports psychologists, former athletes, and commentators have begun theorizing about the morale shifts within both locker rooms, the psychological resilience of the Clippers in the face of potential loss, and the anticipated confidence boost for the Lakers. Social media platforms are reportedly flooded with memes, opinion pieces, and speculation threads, with fans dissecting even minor gestures, social media posts, and public appearances for signs of the impending transfer. Analysts are also contemplating the marketing and branding implications, projecting how Leonard's presence might enhance the Lakers' global reach, sponsorship deals, and media visibility, while simultaneously creating challenges for the Clippers in retaining their fan base and cultivating new stars. The rumor, still officially unconfirmed, continues to gain traction as insiders hint at private meetings, late-night discussions, and clandestine negotiations that could culminate in a seismic shift within the NBA, positioning Los Angeles as a focal point of intrigue and dramatic narrative in professional sports. Finally, the unfolding saga of Kawhi Leonard's rumored Lakers agreement underscores the unpredictable and often chaotic nature of professional sports, where talent, ambition, and strategy intersect to create stories that captivate millions. As the NBA world watches with bated breath, both franchises are reportedly engaged in careful consideration of their next steps, balancing the allure of immediate success with the long-term implications for team cohesion, financial planning, and fan engagement. This rumor has also triggered a wave of speculative journalism, with every potential scenario, from injury contingencies to playoff matchups, being analyzed in exhaustive detail. Fans are encouraged to prepare for a roller coaster of emotions, with loyalty debates, media coverage, and statistical projections dominating conversation for weeks to come. If Leonard's move materializes, it could redefine rivalries, reshape playoff landscapes, and alter the trajectory of the Western Conference, potentially creating a super team that might be remembered as one of the most significant in recent NBA history. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.